assistants, and the people that love us. I'm your host, Jess Lindgren. Let's get to work. I am coming to you from sometimes sunny, sometimes surprisingly rainy California, San Diego, that is. Made it here safe and sound. Thank you to everyone who bore with me on the Tuesday placeholder episode, followed by the late Thursday into early Friday full actual episode. I do promise that an on-time episode is coming Tuesday next week. So thank you so much for bearing with me. Like I said, let's get to work. This week we're talking about the importance of language when it comes to how we respond to the situations, tasks, and just the general rest of the chaos that can and often does come with the very nature of our roles as administrative professionals. Several years ago, I was running an event with my executive. It was a 2-day affair that involved people flying in from all over the world. We provided hotel, ground transportation, meals, everything for all of our attendees. Like, I'm talking lift code from the airport to get to the hotel, a shuttle that took everybody from the hotel over to the event site, breakfast, lunch, dinner, the whole 9 yards. So fun. My executive and I both love a high touch, white glove experience, and this was truly a very dreamy project for us to put together and execute. And honestly, one of the most fun and I think impactful works that we've ever done in our decade plus of working together. As things often go when you are managing expectations for multiple people, situations will arise that need addressing, assessing, and ultimately solutions. Maybe assess it first, address it second, make a solution. But it needs all of those things. And everyone involved, including my executive, including the catering staff at the host venue, the events manager, a photographer, a graphic designer, all 20 of our attendees, knew that they could come to me with anything that needed assessing, addressing, and solutions. And while it wasn't a constant barrage of requests, it definitely felt like there was always something. You know, the caterer comes to me and says, lunch is going to be 15 minutes late. Can we handle the delay? My executive's voice is getting tired from talking all day. Could I get him some tea and a cough drop? An attendee spilled coffee on their workbook. Could I get them another one? You know, event stuff. Like, you just never know what's going to happen. But on the second day, one of the attendees pulled me aside during a break and told me something that I still think about at least once a week. And this is, I don't know, 7, 8 years later. But she found me to be responsive as opposed to reactive. Like, she had been obviously paying attention to the material that my executive was presenting, but she had come to me with a couple of requests of her own, watched other people, talked with the other attendees about things that I had solved for them. And I just, like I said, I think about this at least once a week and just appreciate so much that she told me, Jess, I really find you to be responsive as opposed to reactive. Now, on the surface, those two words definitely have similar meanings. A stimulus, like a request, is presented, which prompts a response, like finding or printing a new workbook. If you dip just below the surface, reactive tends to have a bit of a negative connotation. One might be seen, for example, as reacting to things emotionally or impulsively rather than proactively shaping them or calmly responding to them. Being responsive is definitely a bit happier. The dictionary definition of the word responsive is reacting quickly and positively. And if you look around the internet, like, there are plenty of summaries of responsive versus reactive that paint reactive behavior as shooting from the hip, like immediately, while responsive behavior is thoughtful, considering the short and long-term outcomes of whatever decision it is that you might make after assessing the situation. Now, this doesn't mean that you take a week to decide if you can get your workshop attendee a new workbook, but it does mean instead of making a face, making a big exasperated sigh, acting like it is the biggest inconvenience in the world that this person has come to you, instead of pitching a fit, whatever negative thing it is that you might do about the ruined workbook. You take a beat, you think about what options are available in the moment, in the situation, at that time. This was almost 10 years ago. Um, Things were not as readily available in terms of delivery as they are now in 2025. Um, but yeah, just you take that beat, you think about what options are available, whether it's 2017 or 2025. You calmly tell the person who needs a new book that it's no problem. And you, in that moment, almost 10 years ago, ask the venue if they could do you a solid and print out 40 pages for you, whether it's something that they do for free, whether it's a paid print job. Even if you paid them $1 a page, like that $40 is less expensive than you calling a printer, like an offsite printer, a FedEx, a Kinko's, if those are still a thing. I know FedEx is, but I don't know about Kinko's. But calling a printer, like we were doing the event in the 4S Ranch area of San Diego, which is kind of more North County. And I had the workbooks printed at PB Printing, which is Pacific Beach, which is quite a bit further south. I'm not going to go all the way to Pacific Beach from 4S Ranch in the middle of the day. I'm just not going to do it, especially not for one workbook. Like if all the workbooks had been wrecked, maybe. But truly, like asking the venue has a printer. If you paid them $40, it's less expensive both in terms of time, money, effort, energy, all of it. You're not driving yourself offsite. You're not getting a car to go offsite. You're not hiring a courier to pick up that one workbook. You get to show off your responsive, creative problem solving skills both to your event attendees and your executive. And honestly, when you do cool things like that, like find a way to work that into your resume. Like we'll talk about resumes at a future date, but like when you do cool, unique money saving things, like you're probably not going to brag about a $40 workbook savings, but like if you did need $400 or $4,000 or $40,000 worth of workbook. Just think about those things and those accomplishments for future purposes, whatever they might be. Being responsive definitely reminds me of, I looked this up. It's season 4, episode 13 of the show Scrubs, where Elliot tells JD that her big secret to being able to respond calmly in the face of a medical situation, a patient is crashing, and she says her big secret is just to take a deep breath. Like when people are coming to me in a panic, they're stressed out, they're embarrassed, they're hungry, whatever it is, it helps to take a deep breath, absorb the information, and respond accordingly. Personally, I've never liked the line in pretty much every job description that I've ever seen that an executive assistant needs to be calm under pressure. I think that every great EA is responsive to any kind of stressful situation in the workspace that might arise. And job descriptions really could be adjusted to reflect this small but important change of wording. That's all for this week. I hope that you find this helpful. I'd love to hear from any of you at askanassistant.com. Lay your comments, questions, thoughts, and concerns on me. I would love to hear from you about a time that you were responsive as opposed to being reactive at work, or tell me how you're going to take this bit of information and incorporate responsiveness into your life, whether it's professionally or personally or a little bit of both. So until next week, take care.